Oh, hey.
Hey,
Oh my gosh, I was just gonna text you.
what's up?
Nothing that I was here, but no, it's funny because like you literally like look like a baby
So we had a terrible connection on whatever day it was yesterday. And I
yesterday.
was thinking, I was like, what's different? So, couple things. I've been gua shaing several times a week.
Mm.
And so for years now, I've been making my own face oil and I don't use face cream.
Mhm.
And I've accidentally tested it in Costa Rica, so it's definitely SPF because everything burned but my face and my chest. So I've been using the same formula for years now. But a couple weeks ago, so I in the evenings, so I use the oil in the morning, and then the evenings I would do like a hyaluronic serum, and they're freaking expensive. So a couple weeks ago, I was in Sprouts and I picked up a liquid hyaluronic supplement that you're supposed to take internally, and I've been putting it on my face.
Cool. Cool. And then has anything else shifted like for you like energetically in the last couple weeks? Because I know sometimes when we do healing, people
Yeah.
look like 15 years younger right afterwards. So
That's
I was
actually,
like, did
well,
I miss
shit, you're really
something?
hitting it. So my stress levels have really come down. While I'm on a hiatus from work. So it's been amazing there. I've not been able to do exercise because my feet they're getting better, but my feet have really kept me from hiking and stuff, which I love. But my meditation has really increased, and I've been doing a lot more of my transcendental meditation that I was just too exhausted and I just created bad habits over the years. So I'm sure there's something to be said about the stress levels alone, but also, my transcendental meditation and my meditation for healing and trance work has increased to the point where I'm doing it at least once a day and then a couple times twice. So I
Yay.
didn't, yeah. And so I'm like, you said that, and this is like yesterday, I'm like, really? But so I think it's a little bit of everything, but none of it is, besides the hyaluronic thing that I bought, I had a huge bottle of it for $25-$30, and I'm doing it every day, and I've barely touched the bottle. So I can really say that everything I'm doing is basically free.
I love it. I love it. And then another free thing that's great for skin that we can talk about at another episode is urine therapy. Trigger alert, trigger alert, urine therapy. But like, even I have a friend that he's even like a guru on it, and we could invite him on, and he's got a wonderful energy, and it hits all the points where it's like raising your vibration, healing your disease, anti-aging you, and it's also taboo, so that's fun.
Yeah, I know you've been trying to get me to do urine therapy for quite a while now. So and I'm not overly resistant because of the taboo. I think it's, for me personally, trying to find, what fits into my daily routine. And and then you bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, I should try that. And then I go right back to my day and right back to my habits, and then it's like
It's just
it's
not the right
gone.
time yet.
Yeah, well, healing's a funny thing, and it shows up in a lot of different ways. And you noticed recently that it's shown up in my face. So I'm like,
That's the best. If you need a reason to start doing your work, and it has to be this, it makes you look younger. How about that?
well, so you and I are both 41 years old, and even before the last few weeks, um, I'm constantly getting told or asked if I'm in like my early mid 30s, right? 33, 34, occasionally 35. I've not had anybody ask me or assume I'm over 35. I would say, well, we started talking about this. You said that you started your healing journey really hitting it hard about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Mine hit hard about 4 years ago. So I would say that I have aged backwards in the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's a fun and interesting thing. And I'll even notice if I hit like one of those low spots where it's like you're on this trajectory, but it's not like that, right? It's like this, it's like
Oh yeah.
that. You know, it's like building a business is like healing yourself, right? You're going up, but then open, then back up. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and I would say even for me, when I hit a low spot and I see myself, I look older, like that, like in my face, like I see it, and I'm like, oh, I'm hitting a low spot. Who's that old lady? You know,
That's so funny. I see that, right? And I feel it. And the first thing that we look at in the morning and the last thing we look at, right, is our face, right? We're washing our face in the morning and we're brushing our teeth in the evening, doing all these rituals. And it's funny you should say that because I just didn't really think about it until the last 24 hours. It's funny how I look at my face, I'm like, God, I look like I'm, so old today. It's almost like it's the first indicator of
how
your
much? Yeah,
vitality.
yeah, yeah, and that was like the thing that we were trying to talk about yesterday, is just that trajectory that I love it. I love that everyone's like doing healing and being positive, because there is an old way of getting stuck and complaining, right? Have you ever noticed that? How it's almost like it's addictive and it spreads like wildfire. So it's good that we're kind of backpedaling from the complaining bug, right? But it's not all rainbows and unicorns all the time, and it's not like a one and done. It's like, bam, I did this ayahuasca and like, woo, inner peace forever.
Yeah, but I mean, you like I've done some ceremonies, right? Like I've done different types of ceremonies, tried them out. Some I really loved, some I really absolutely did not. You've done a lot more of that, and I dabble more in the spiritual, psychic, trance channel world, and so I do see it. But I mean, Breya, how many times have you seen somebody show up for a one and done ayahuasca or a one and done ketamine, and they think that they're going to go now be the next guru and heal the world?
Yeah, so that's one of the things, and what I call it, I have two little like cute names for it. It's like leapfrogging into being a healer, where the best way that we help society is by doing our own work. That's it.
Agreed.
That's it. People are like, I don't know how to help. And I say, help yourself. That's how you help, because you raise your vibration. And it's almost like there's this cloud around you, right? And when that cloud is rainbows and unicorns everywhere that you even go grocery shopping, you're just going to scoop people in it, and they don't even know why they feel better, but then they're going to go home and be nicer to their kid, who's going to go to school and be nicer to the teacher, and it goes out like that. So it's not like, oh, what's the answer? It's easy. You just go in and do your own work.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, like you're seeing it from your side now. Being a channeling spirit, they have conveyed messages over and over again that stop worrying about other people. When you heal yourself, because we're all connected, right? Like we're all one. Every time you heal yourself and raise your own vibration, spiritual and natural law dictate that we bring everybody up with us. So if you want to focus on doing good for the world, heal yourself first.
Yeah. And it's and what I was telling you the other day is that it's a lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle. Like you have your beauty routines, and I'm sure it's not just for your skin. Like it feels good to clean yourself and like take care of yourself and love yourself. So it's like every little thing is an opportunity to nurture yourself and raise your vibration, or self-sabotage, which, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm guilty, been there.
Yeah.
We'll go there again for sure.
So I've heard this, and I used to believe it and I don't believe it. I've heard that healing is hard, right? Like I've also heard doing the right thing is hard. And we say this.
I would say doing the wrong thing is hard.
But we hear this, it's like, why didn't you do the right thing? Well, it was hard. There was peer pressure. This is what I've noticed. When you say it over and over again, it becomes true. Doing the right thing is hard. Yeah, if you keep saying it, healing is hard. Yeah, if you keep saying it. For me, once I got past that healing is hard and I'm going to do it anyways, it became the easiest thing in the world. And I can't imagine a life, a week, a month, a year where I'm not, I can't turn that part of me wanting to heal and wanting to be better off. I'm not saying it doesn't take breaks because it has to, but I'm saying that it's easier for me to heal and to do the right thing than I ever imagined possible.
Yeah, and what I see a lot of really cute, darling people, because everyone is like that in the community, and they want to do stuff for themselves, right? And I love that when we just like notice that, like, hey, like I could be happier. Cool. That's the start. But then they're worried about the kids a lot, the kids, the grandkids, the this, the that, and I totally get it. Like, I'm a mom, you're a mom, I'm a family member. But it's like, oh, if you just took the time to like take care about you, all of that's going to flow so much better.
Well, I think it's important that we model that for our children. We come from a generation where our parents didn't do that. Our parents, especially the women, there was very divided roles, right? It was women took care of kids, men worked out of the home. And, if you ever met a woman who dared take care of herself, the community or the social network would frown upon how selfish she was for putting herself forward.
I experienced this. I don't know if you did, because we haven't talked about this. So I was married um at a young age, at like 21, and had my son, and I always had goals for myself. I had dreams. And so when I told my ex-husband's sister, she was just like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to school. I'm going to take this class and this class because I have this idea that I want to do this, right?" Which was, in the end, to be a holistic doctor. And I was in shock because she was angry at me for wanting to go to school, that she thought it was like incredibly selfish of me to want to go to school. And I was like in shock, because that was my son's father's family, where my family is like, yeah, go out there and like create what you want, like go for it. So I was like floored by this reaction, that I was just kind of like, and I had to go to my stepmom, like, I'm so confused, like she's mad at me for trying to do stuff.
Yeah, and I think that attitude, even though it is dissipating and it's, being replaced by a lot more, self-care, self-love, self-evolution, it's still there. I mean, I was told by the elders of my church that if I pursued a career, that no man would ever have me. And my identity hinged on me being a wife and a mother. I had no other purpose for my existence other than that. And
So
that took some time to overcome.
yeah, so that would be an interesting thing if people have comments about experiencing that, or witnessing that in different ways, because it's probably really like layered in all different kinds of ways in society, in the different ways that people
Right.
experience life.
Well, and you have to, I mean, this is the stuff we heal. I mean, we think we're healing our body, but we're healing these traumas that have shown up in our body. At least, for me, that's how I see it. Because as I heal,
it feels like a cage, right? Like it's an idea. It's like an idea that's not even our own idea, that society or whoever puts on us, and then we can't free flow, and we can't be our authentic self, right? Because we think we have to like.
Well, now imagine if you have those thoughts thrust upon you that we know are not true, but then you're still in that environment. You're still going to vacation, and you're still doing holidays and birthday parties and weddings with these same people. Like, how do you break out of that? It's almost like if you are if you're doing drugs, they'll tell you if you want to get clean, you have to get away from the people that are doing the drugs. And I had to do that. I had to leave everything I knew behind. Doesn't mean that I haven't rekindled some of those relationships, but I'm a little bit more ginger about them. But I had to treat that toxic upbringing and those thoughts that were not mine, but I didn't have any room to make my own thoughts. I had to leave them behind. And again,
Yeah.
But like, I'm 41. I just started this journey at 37 years old. And there's a lot of people out there that, I mean, you see it more than I do. How many of them are, senior citizens that are just now getting a chance to breathe for themselves?
Well, so funny, right? I just came from the holotropic breathwork training a week, and there was a lot of people there that are 80 years old, or older, and they're just in there like doing their work. Some of them have been doing it for decades, right? And they're just taking off the layers and have great energy. And some of them are new, and it's so beautiful. So it's just like it's never too late to like start healing and living your best life. The other thing I was going to tell you, there was a beautiful Irish woman priestess with a long lineage of ancient knowledge, and she was saying a lot of the same things here, that like by healing yourself, and they have like the three cauldrons, like other people know, like the chakras, right, for the energy flow, and you get your cauldrons flowing and being your authentic self. That's how you heal the community, right? And she even said, like, sometimes you need to take a break from your family if they're toxic, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't go back after you do this work and rekindle it. And sometimes she was sharing stories about women that just, wow, like left, couldn't even talk to their family, would do all this like powerful deep work. And there was one woman, every time she did this deep work, her mother in Ireland would fall down and like, her hip or something.
Wow.
Right. And then after years and years of doing this, and then she got the message like, you're done with this healing this lineage, right? She finally, I don't know, 20 years later goes back to Ireland, goes to see her mom, who hugs her for like the first time ever, and is like, I don't know what you've been doing, but you've been healing our family. So even like different continents, decades, and her just doing this own work. And it was just, and then being able to rekindle those relationships in a different way.
That's really interesting, because I have obviously been working. We have two different types of shit that we heal, right? We have karmic stuff that we bring into us, that we've carried through lifetimes. But then we have what I call DNA. Like some people call it different. But that's the stuff we inherit, right? Those are the sins of our parents. Those are family patterns. That's, whatever culture we've been born into that has all of its junk. So like two different things healing. And so, when I'm doing my healing work, I'm not necessarily saying, all right, I'm healing lineage. What I'm doing is, I don't know what's hurting me, but I'm going to heal it and clear it. And I'm going to right. And so about, I want to say 2 years ago, I was in like a group mediumship type of a thing. And somebody had come to me, and they could clearly see grandparents, right? Like, and I didn't know them, but I've seen pictures of them, and they were very clear to describe what my grandmothers look like. And the message I got from them was, thank you for the work you've been doing. You have been healing us and grandparents that have already passed through this and have reincarnated. Like, so they had recognized that I had cleared and healed lineage, like the woman that you had met. So it's
Right.
showing up.
I think that's what's happening in this present timeline, right? Like there's all these people that just want to do their work, right? And it's in some cultures, like the Irish one, it's 7 generations forward and 7 generations back, like healing, right? And then that helps them like move, into a more of a soul realm, right? Instead of like a spirit realm, like an in-between thing. You would know more about that. But and it's like all these souls and spirits are coming together today to do this work, and it's not just for them, like, yeah, they're like, I'm hurting, like I'm depressed, like I know I can feel better, right? But it's for their whole family, and it's for like all of mankind and all of the earth. Like when we had those 40 people in a room, 20 breathers, like 25 space holders, it was a total healing field, and you could feel that it was for everyone. It was like this powerful movement of energy. It wasn't just for that particular being, but it was like a power force. So the synergy of all that energy coming together, it was like powerful. So I just want to see, and I know we're going to see like more and more stuff like that, because when the people come together and do this powerful work in groups, and then it spreads out and it helps so much.
Well, it's exponential. And I before that message I had gotten, I had a vision about the way healing works when you're talking about DNA healing. And I'm going to shorten the what I've seen, but if you could imagine me doing something that heals my grandmother, right? My grandmother had 5 girls, 5 children, and not only did I clear it for them, but when she had 5 girls, she thrust it upon all of them. So I had to heal my mom to get to my grandmother, but then I healed that, and now that energy had dissipated for all 5 of those women. And all 5 of those women had 2 to 7 children of their own who, right? So now that energy is dissipated, and now their children who are my age and littler, right? So just going back 2 generations of my grandmother and clearing stuff for them has that type of an exponential effect. And we don't think about that because it's not something when you're in the throes of healing yourself. If you don't get those visions and you don't have those conversations with spirit, you don't understand that you're not just raising the vibration today, you're healing stuff back that came forward that now can go and be transmuted.
There is I had to move these papers. I don't know if you can see this because of the lighting.
I can a little bit.
So it's like the big thing, compassion. It was just compassion. Compassion kept coming in. And it was even, for, let's say, for our parents, for our grandparents, right? Because they did the best that they could, right? They did the best that they could, right? And it's it did work in some ways, right? They loved us in the way that they could, right? And it got through so that we were able to get to where we are today, right? So just having compassion, I just feel every generation we get a little bit gentler and more suave, so imagine we thought it was shitty for us. It was probably even more shitty for our parents and our grandparents, and they were still able to love us in the way that they could. And then we wanted those lessons to evolve, right? Our soul and all of that. But even it's the car was covered in mud, but there was a spot and the sun was shining through, and it was enough sun that you felt yeah, there's sun, they did the best that they could, and just having compassion for them, and yourself.
We hear this, right? Oh, my parents, and we forget that I'm a product of what my parents taught me. My daughter's a product of what I teach her and what she picks up, and that's true of our parents, and it's true of their parents. So they're only going to be able to parent and live within the tools and understanding that they have. And so I think if we can just give them that grace, even if they're wretched people, give them the grace to understand that you don't know their stories. Our parents are never going to tell us fully what went down. They just aren't. So, compassion is great. But if you can't even find that, for the love of God, at least give them the grace, and your grandparents the grace that you don't know, and that they're doing the best that they can with how they know to do. I have a sister, and I love her absolutely just dearly, right? She's my baby sister. She lives a very not the word discriminated life. She's very isolated from a lot of diversity, right? It's her, and they live in a very very conservative household in a very conservative area, and they don't have neighbors. She doesn't see people, right? And she was not raised this way, but she says a lot of things that are very racist, very very mean, but she's not a mean person. It's just that that's all she knows. She says things to me that it's oh God, I know that that's not who you are underneath, but I love you so much because you don't see anything besides what happens at your homestead. You don't interact with people from other lifestyles. So I have to give her that grace because she's got this amazing heart, even though she says things that are really ugly. It's I know that that's not coming from her. It's coming from an environment that she's isolated from, that she's isolated within. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just gonna type something.
Making notes there.
Yeah, so they have you do all this artwork, which I love when you do these things. Oh, here's a fun one. I don't know if I told you this one. It's so hard to see on these computer screens too, but it's like this like little theme kept coming up that it's a return to the majestic. Like that's also what we're doing on this timeline is like we're returning to the majestic, right? Like with all of that nature and love and light energy, right? Like we got detoured, but now is the time that we're going into a return to the majestic. And there's another one I wish I could show you, but it's like compassion. It's like a flow chart. So compassion or grace, we could put grace in there too, is in the middle, and then it goes back to forgive, let go, and accept. And it goes forward to evolve and more love, right? So it's a really simple flow chart. There's only one thing, and it's compassion and grace. And there's like little arrows going into it, like you can do nature and self-love and boundaries and deep work and be gentle, and that gives you more able to have more compassion and grace, which is really for you too. Like it feels so much better to have compassion and grace than to be pissed,
It's exhausting being pissed all the time.
It's so exhausting.
I can't, like, how do people be angry all the time? And we were talking about earlier, our complexion. God, I've met people that are just angry all the time, and then I find out that they're like 15 years younger than they look. I'm like, gosh, like it really shows up. But I mean, I think the big takeaway is, I mean, you did a weekend or a 4 or 5 day long retreat, but we do this all the time. Like this is like, I'm constantly in a journal. I'm constantly, hey, something's off. I'm getting a little bit, like my compass is a little, a few degrees off. I need to bring it back. Why is my compass gone off? Why am I feeling sluggish? Why don't I want, like we are constantly reassessing nonstop.
So that could be maybe the take home thing. Like maybe notice when you're getting off of your center, and then just pause and be patient with yourself and think about like, well, what makes me feel good? Like I love to just take my dog for a walk, like take my dog outside, get the sun on me, easy, simple, little, like it can be little things like, oh, well, having a cup of tea makes me feel good, just like little things that you can work in if your life is really full.
I absolutely agree. And I think we lose that, like, healing has to be, these seminars and daily journaling. And you're right, it can just be a cup of tea on your porch as the sun comes up or walking your dog, because those bring us joy. And when we reinforce those moments of joy and those moments of peace, and just let them be, they do multiply really quickly, and then it leads to bigger and grander things. At least that's been my experience.
I agree. I think that's a great point to close on. Plus I've got to go to the clinic. And I hope I see you very soon.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Bye. Love you.
Bye everybody. Thank you.